Oh man, welcome back. Guys, I've missed you. I've missed you. I gotta look over this camera before Poetess comes and gets me. I have missed you guys. And listen, I've been busy doing a lot of things. We'll talk about that a little later. But man, I love celebrating authors. As you know, I wrote my first book a few years ago, and I've just fallen in love with the author scene. And it turns into wellness because I found out so much more about this person. So hey, without further ado, let's get right to the show. I'm excited about our guests. Mentorship moments, each one teach one. You know what? We're going to look through our mother's eyes.
Hey.
Sometimes you just gotta make it happen. Gonna make it happen. Gonna make it happen. Just make it happen. Just make it happen. Just make it happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am back. You know, it's been a few weeks, man. Poetess, I think it's almost been a month. You guys have been watching my replays, and I'm shocked because I go check my Facebook page and I look, and you know what? You all are still checking out some of those episodes. I super appreciate it. You have no idea the love. And you know what? I've been doing a lot of stuff. And you know, I just want to share with you some of the things that have been happening to me. You know, I've got two kids. Well, I shouldn't say kids anymore. Two grown young ladies. One who has graduated from college, and we'll throw the picture up in a little bit in the shout out portion. And another one that graduated from high school with honors, Sola Victorian, I guess that's what they call it. She gave an incredible speech. We'll give shouts out to them later. And then I had to graduate myself. You know, as you know, you follow my journey. 2020, I got my AA and then went on and got my BS in business. I had to finish up before my kids did, on to the masters. Most important, I went and got a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of stuff's been happening. We'll talk about that later. But I want to get right to our guest. The format's going to be a little bit different today because I want you to hear all we can about this book. First of all, I'll read the bio, and then we'll get into the substance of what the bio is all about. Listen, Melba T. Binion Johnson, formerly a professional commercial actress for the last 13 years, while simultaneously for the last 36 years practicing and teaching hot yoga. That's the second half of the show, guys. I can't wait to talk about that. Working currently in the Strong Beach community at the Hot Room and Bikram Yoga in Long Beach, most recently launched a startup line of apparel called It's a Wrap by Melba. Previously, from 1993 to 2005, she was the co-founder and vice president of Berkmer Clayton Incorporated, aka Diversity Search Partners Incorporated, a senior level retained executive search firm that was founded in 1993. Guys, when you see, you won't believe it when you see her. She looks incredible. Areas of expertise was in business development and executive recruitment. The focus was in recruiting talented and diverse executives for corporations and institutions throughout the United States, and I want to talk more about that. That is awesome. Served on various boards, which included Toberman House in San Pedro, Santa Monica, the Santa Monica College Foundation, Planned Parenthood, good discussion today, LA, Daniel Freeman Hospital Foundation, and Big Sisters of Los Angeles, mentor for sure. Other activities included membership in Women's of Los Angeles, Women in Business, and the National Association of Minorities Cable. She received a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. I love it because I did too, but mine was in business. From California State University, Dominguez Hills in 1986. Guys, when I flash the camera over, it's going to blow you away. Graduated from the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM, specializing in merchandising and marketing, and you'll see why she's very fashion savvy. Married with five children and residing in San Pedro, California. Now we can add author to the list of accomplishments. I cannot wait to get into this book, honoring motherhood at the most spiritual level. Now we've had Mother's and Father's Day, but it's not over. Let me tell you, well, first of all, let me just go ahead and quit playing with y'all and introduce our guest. I can't wait to unleash her. You know, Melba T. Binion Johnson. Everybody, give us a hand. Now, we only have one cat in the studio audience, and, he's giving us a meow. We're doing good. Listen, I'm just putting the number out ahead of time. If you can put that number on the screen, Flo, that would be awesome. The phone number to get onto the show is, I already beat you to it, Post. Guess what? Let's see if I beat you. Oh, it's 323-815-4944. 4204. That's 323-815-4204. Now, listen, if you're an aspiring author and you really want to receive mentorship, we have it right here right now. I've gone through this book. It's amazing. There's different styles of books. Some people write theses. Some people need short words. Well, this is a mix of the two, and I can't wait to get into this. So, Melba, welcome to the show. And reading your bio and looking at you, it's hard to believe, first of all, when you say 1980s, you look like you're 25. You look amazing.
Bravo, that's the yoga.
That's the yes, and that explains to me why you look so young, being active, and it just looks like God's being really good to you and just living your life healthy and right. And we definitely want to kill that in the next segment. I want to get into how I was introduced to you. I was teaching. Now the phone number's on the board, Poet. Is right. I was generally the Women's Health Expo, the Women's Health Forum, is a yearly event that's meant to empower, inspire women to talk about sexual health, wellness, overall wellness, mental health. And I'm usually called in as CJ, the show opener. So I get out there and I get everybody motivated before the 8 o'clock broadcast. And, this was like the first one outside of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And where everybody was happy to be there, I was just going to be in and out, do my thing and go. And I'm talking to a day, and then all of a sudden she introduces an author. And, you're half hearing it because I'm getting ready to do my thing. And then a lady walks up, tall, in shape, great looking. You felt the sense of orange energy, like, whoa, what's going on with this radiance? All of a sudden she steps to the podium, and then she begins talking about her book through her mother's eyes. And there was something she said, and I was hoping she remembers that she said, that made me stop. My ears opened up, and my focus was drawn to her and what she said. And I immediately had a flashback to my mother, Margie Louise Booker Joseph. And a tear immediately started flowing from my eye, but it was a tear of happiness because I was seeing, wow, I wonder what things look like through my mother's eyes. Do you remember that day? And can you tell the audience here what you said that day, if you can remember? It was really deep,
Thank you for having me, first and foremost.
Thank you for being here.
Honored.
I'm honored.
It's interesting because this book was a journey for me to recognize who I am and whose I am.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was growing up, I'm one of 7 children, 6 girls and 1 boy. And my mother used to always tell me, one day you'll see through grandma's eyes. And I never really understood that. Okay. I never understood what that meant. And here in the midst of everything that's going on in my life, doing commercials, the youngest child is off to college, and I'm just living my life. And my mother's sick. And every child has a different relationship with their parent. Mm-hmm. And I was in the middle. I was a sickly child. So I always felt weak, and always felt that I was not necessarily not good enough, but that I was not strong enough. Mm. And I don't know if it was emotional, mental level, but I just had to swipe it to the side and live my life. So one particular incident, and let me tell you straight up, I would have never imagined myself writing a book, ever in my life. The fear of being put out there and exposing yourself. Some people can do it, some people can't.
I can understand that.
And so I guess it was my time, not knowing this. So I had an episode where my mother had been in the hospital. She had diabetes, and she was on dialysis. And I said, let me go by, bring my mom some lunch. She had just gotten out of the hospital. And my mother and I had a lot of unspoken words that had not been said. And so as I'm handing her lunch, she's looking at me and she's talking, just saying whatever she's saying. And then all of a sudden, her lips are moving, but there's no words coming out. It goes, and Melba,
That's what got me. Keep going. That's what got me.
I had to pause because I didn't know if she was having a stroke or if it was me. But in order to keep her comfortable and not alarm her, I just said, Melba, just keep looking into her eyes, so she'll know that you're listening, whether she was speaking or not. And after really looking into her eyes like I'm looking into yours, all of a sudden her eyes started to speak to me. And that's when I was not breathing. And her eyes started to say, forgive me for not giving you all that you needed. I didn't know.
Wow.
There's no rule book on how to be a mother. I wish I could run and skip and play and start over just like you. But please forgive me. And this conversation went on quietly between she and I for almost a minute. And then her voice came back. She says, baby, this lunch is good, but I'm tired. I gotta go. I gotta sleep. Her voice came back in that instant. And I couldn't react like you did. I just had to go, okay, you know, all right, mommy, go take a nap, because I'm going to go home and take one too.
Right. What was that did you consider that a spiritual experience?
I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
It scared me, and I didn't know how to process it. So I went home that night. I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't say anything to my sisters who was living there with my mom. I just kept it to myself because I really wasn't sure. And I know in my family, my mother used to always be very instinctive and see things, quote unquote. She's from Alabama, the South.
Okay.
Never questioned it. I just said, well, I don't have that gift, so I'm going to keep on
I'm gonna
moving.
keep on yeah.
But at that moment, I wasn't sure what was going on with her. So I went home that night and just really wasn't sure what was going on. Well, 2 days later, I go to an audition for a commercial, for a moped. And I walk in the door and the lady says, you're next on board. So I go to the back and there's a beautiful lady whose back is turned away from me. And as she turns around, it's Frida Payne, the beautiful songstress.
Yes.
And I have done yoga with Frida, had done yoga with Frida for 20 years when I first started. But I hadn't seen her. Every now and then I would see her at an audition, but not very often. And she turned around and says, Melba. And we chit-chat for maybe 10 seconds, and then she goes, and at that moment I realized it was me, that there was a message here for me, and I needed to be quiet, and I needed to look in her eyes. Now, whether these were self-induced conversations that I was having with them in terms of what I thought was being said was not important. It was just there was a message for me, and I needed to be still. So the person came out and said, all right, who's next on board? Frida's voice came back, see you, Melba. She goes in. She comes out, and I go to the audition. And I'm like, I don't remember anything.
Wow.
My mind was blank.
Did you think? Let me ask you this, because my mother had spiritual gifts, and I do believe that.
Yes.
That I thought I didn't have until she passed. Did you think you inherited that spiritual gift, and do you think that was something that she did when she was reading a soul?
I believe we all have them.
Okay.
And it was just I was ready.
Okay.
I had turned 60 and I was ready to receive.
Well, speaking of being ready, you talked about earlier allowing yourself be exposed.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that. When I unleashed my book, it was a healing, therapeutic thing for my father and my mother.
Oof.
You know, so
See, now you're preaching it. It ain't even Sunday.
It ain't even Sunday, right? You know, I'm glowing already. I'm feeling the spirit already. Listen, for my Facebook and YouTube people, please, if you can't call in, please chime in. I'm checking you guys on Facebook. I see a few people on here. Eulitis, Nikki. Oh, what's up? Oh, I got something to say about you, Eulitis. Man, and you can always call in. Tell me the moment when you release the floodgates to let go and start writing. Because I want to see if there's the same pattern that I had and other authors.
You know, it was because when I went home from that audition, I came home and I just was kind of beside myself. I really wasn't sure. I didn't share it with my husband. I went to bed that night and I literally dreamt the book page by page. And the title, when I woke up, I said, through my mother's eyes.
Oh, you got, Felicia, you got to put that, the copy of the book on TV. You got to see on the screen, you got to see how beautiful the book is. Keep going. I'm sorry.
So, and it's a part of what my mother used to always tell me when I was growing up, and all the children, when we would get out of line or she needed to straighten us or pull us by the collar, she says, all right, one day you're going to see through grandma's eyes. Yeah, right. But anyway.
As we all do.
And that night, I saw through my mother's eyes. She told me how it's supposed to roll out, what it's supposed to look like. I woke up, and within 3 months, I started doing writings every morning. Journaling every morning. I'd wake up, roll out of bed, right, and I found the journaling, when I look back at it, was page by page of how the book was supposed to be done. Who was supposed to be involved, who you were supposed to call, what it's supposed to look like. I mean, and within that first week, I had called the photographer, who was one of my yoga students.
My goodness.
Who I hadn't seen in years, who was my road dog. He came in class one day, and he was all over the place. He couldn't focus, whatever, and I went over to him. I said, Moses, what's going on? It's just good.
Yes.
And I will never forget that. But he's a well-renowned photographer, Moses Mitchell. The Chadwood Williams, my producer, I was introduced to him through another friend. Eloise Laws, who's my partner in this, who gathered all of her entertainment friends to put this together. everybody was assigned a role, and God controlled all that. I didn't control any of it.
So I want to, do you believe now, when you start, when God puts it in your heart to do something, the pieces are given to you?
I didn't question anything. Every morning I got up and wrote, and I said, it'll show up. It'll show up. And I had no, where's the money coming from? It'll show up. It'll show up.
Yes.
Literally. And within 3 months, we had 3 photo sessions done. And it was interesting how it was done, because I have 4 generations of people in my family in there before my mother passed. But everybody had a role, and we all played whatever, fill in the gaps, what have you. I didn't know what it was going to turn out to be. But my mission was to make sure it was done for my mother. And that's all I was concerned about. And I didn't know if I'd mark it, it didn't matter. Fast forward, and I mean, it's not to say that there weren't some hurdles, but it's like, it was like, all right, well, how bad do you want this? Well, can you forgive, and can you keep going? Don't be mad if they don't do what you want them to do, because they don't see what you see. But graciously step aside. Sometimes it was hard, but those were lessons for me.
Man, it does feel like Sunday today, and I do feel like I'm being ministered to. I'm about to start like tearing up all over again. You know, you mentioned something about pretty much having it done in 30 days. You know,
no, it was 3 months.
3 months, 3 months, because
but 30 days of writing.
Of writing, yes, the
Journaling.
the writing part. Because for me, it happened the same way. I literally was in Hawaii when I started, and I was gonna write a fitness book, how to get 6 packs and this, that, and the other. And then it felt like the fingers kept going, Dad, 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 Dad. Oh snap! So I'm writing a whole nother book as to how my dad's what my dad's life instilled in me. Is something that I ran from, and it was a cleansing process to say, Dad, I love you, Dad. Thank you for being who you were for me, and let me tell my story so I can help other people. And you're right, just like you did, things started falling into place. I called friends. You want to be? Oh yeah, put my name down. You know, I called people that I would be scared to talk to on any other occasion, but I lost my fear when the magic started happening. Did you lose a sense of fear in asking in that?
That fearlessness.
Yes. Talk about it. Talk about it.
Do something. There's a beautiful line that Lululemon always says on their bags. Do something today that scares you.
Yes.
Every day I did something that scared me. I called someone that I would have otherwise not wanted to call or afraid to call.
Please listen, people. Please listen.
And I asked, and I figured the only thing they could tell me was no, if they didn't want to. But nobody said no. And I was a different person in those 3 months of charging forward. My husband was like, what you doing? Don't bother me right now. I got plans. I mean, and he was supportive the whole way. And it was just, I don't know if it was more for my mother as much as it was for me. But I do know that when I finished the book, I found a publisher. Who knows what to do with a publisher? You don't know what to expect.
Exactly.
The money came. I got commercials that came up. I got some money. You know, I started to pay folks, and and it wasn't cheap, but it was worth every dime. Because when I brought this book to my mother, almost a year before she passed, she was sitting at the dining room table, and I sat the book right in front of her and put it on the table in front of her. And she looked at it. She says, "What's this, baby?" I said, "Mommy, it's you." And she looked up and she says, "You do love me." That's all I needed. I didn't need to sell a book. I didn't need to show anybody. My gift was in what she said at that moment.
God, this is just like so amazing. So let's talk about the people involved in this book. When you said, "Don't be afraid to be fearless," Malcolm Jamal Warner from the Cosbys, Don B. Welch. You know, we even have one of our friends in common, Ade Lamar. You know, she, and if POTUS has that, put that up there. Sorry, Ade, if you're watching, I'm putting you on Front Street again. You know, but yeah, she's in there, and what it is it's not the average book. You know, after you get through the first few pages, these are affirmations of what these celebrities or people of importance heard from their mothers through their eyes. Go into that a little bit. And then,
now let me correct you on that, because it's not everybody who's important or celebrities.
Thank you.
These are individuals from the age 7 to 100. The youngest are my granddaughters, who are twins, Skylar and Kelsey Yates, who are actresses on Lone Star 911. And to Eloise Law's mother, who I believe was 100, is 100, and now she's 103 or 105 right now. I don't know for sure. And there were people people you don't know, and people you need to know.
People you know, people you don't know, and people you need to know. Love it. Love it.
Because everybody has a story.
Who were the most fascinating?
Bonnie Pointer.
And I'm not trying to give anything away. You have to get the book.
Bonnie Pointer sang her heart out. Now, let me tell you a little story about Bonnie Pointer. You know, when you're an actress or you've done well or singing, you know, you have to review contracts or what have you. You don't just walk in and sign anything. So I respected her because she had to review the contract. Well, it took a couple months before I got it back. But here's the way it came back to me. So I'm in class teaching yoga. And one of my dearest friends, Melissa, who's just this beautiful spirit, comes to me after class and said, "What's going on?" I said, "Oh, I got to get this contract back from, Bonnie. I want her in the book." She said, "Oh, Bonnie's my client."
Won't he do it?
I said, "Well, do you think you can?" She says, "Girl, I got this." She took it. Bonnie signed that contract probably a couple months before she died.
Wow. Wow. Just let that sit in for a minute. The blessings established when she just went ahead and pursued her dreams and said yes, and just forget failure. I like what you said earlier. All you could say is no. And look what is happening. What's happening to me right now? It's like, I want to be, when you do your father's version.
It's coming up. It's coming up. You got it. You got it. I'm not going to tell you the title, but it's coming up.
Okay, because my dad's got some tidbits, that would be awesome.
Well, it's interesting because for the book, the way I did this is I sat with each individual for 20 to 30 minutes. And we just talked about moms and dads and all that other stuff. And then at the very end, because nobody knew what I was talking about to the other ones previously, the other interviewers or individuals in the book. And I said, as we were talking, they said, "If you were looking into your mother's eyes, what would they say?" To see a man cry, not because he's hurt, but because emotions well up within him, was the most amazing thing.
Doesn't seeing a man cry for whatever reason, it's one thing for pain that shuts down.
No,
it's
incited passion and joy and love.
Different.
And then I sent them to get photographed, and the eyes shifted, the mood had shifted. I mean, one person is in here talking about, "I just buried my mother." Another gentleman, "I just buried my mother 2 weeks ago," and just sit there and listen to him talk about his mother. And actually, I filmed everything. So I'm working on a docuseries.
That's what I was going to ask.
I haven't edited it yet, but my beautiful producer, Chad Williams, did a phenomenal job. So I pray it'll show up. The right people will come into the picture to help me get this manifested. But Mary Wilson's in it before she passed, the singer of the Supremes.
Yes.
I mean, just...
You got blessing all over you with
all
this.
Over.
You're beaming with like all these. Let me ask you this about like when you write a book and you include people, how does that help? And when you don't violate their or your credibility, how does that work relationally for you authors out there? How does that work?
Writing and releasing is healing, no matter what it is, no matter how it shows up. To release from your gut, from your throat, and out of your mouth. Create space for other love and opportunities. And it's the gift every time you bring it up and out. And it may not always be for you. That gift might be for someone else. There's a story of one guy in there, I'm not going to tell you who.
I'm not going to tell either.
Who was in a children's home. And he said he was looking out the gate one day. And one of the workers came over and said, "Hey, what you looking at?" He says, "That lady over there." And the guy just happens to know who it is. He says, "That's your mother." He hadn't seen his mother in years. And that woman...
Are you guys feeling this, man? I mean, this is I'm ready to let loose emotionally.
Don't, because we don't have two tissues.
We don't have enough tissues in the audience. I'm blown away right now. This is you are if not the single best guest I've had on the show. And I've had great regression, you know that, but everything you're saying, I'm just gravitating. I got goosebumps. You can see on my arms.
Yeah.
This is just
on
ridiculous.
The muscles. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay. She said it. I didn't.
He's like, "Look at my muscles and the bumps."
This is my chance to show my muscles, right? But these are crying muscles because I'm just really about to lose it. I felt that energy, and I knew if I had her on my show, this was going to be something great and something that's going to not just uplift and just promote a book, but really sear through our audience listening. I just think this is just so awesome. So what is the message, the overall message for your book? Now on the next segment, we'll talk about how we get that book, but the overall goal, the message, the healing message that you want to put out about this book. And then the next segment, we'll talk about how we get this book.
Well, most importantly is that in some form or fashion, we all have parents, moms or dads. And forgiveness is key. Because when you forgive, because I would always say and always hear, we always speak what we want people to hear. But when you look into the eyes are the key to the soul. And the eyes tell you when you're sick and when you're healthy. But when you look into the eyes, it tells you exactly what you need to hear. And to be able to take that in and realize how blessed you are. And sometimes they're not the messages we always want to hear.
I got to say something here. Because I don't know if you know this or not, with our generation, my dad, mother, look someone in the eye at all times. And I'm not, yeah, you young. I'm not coming off that angle.
No, I understand.
But our children now, they don't have the eye contact thing that we had. Mm-hmm. So I believe they're smarter than we are. Technologically, they have everything, but they're missing the essence of what people are telling you because they're not looking at the soul. Agree?
Oh, amen, amen. And I'm going to put some money in the tithe.
We'll talk about... 2 minutes, yes. We'll talk about the tithing. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I'm holding up this book. Next segment, we will totally show how we get to this masterpiece. My wife has dug into it, and she's already started tearing. I've gone through some of them, and this is just one that I savor on my coffee counter, and I can't wait to savor my way through it. Through my mother's eyes, Melba T. Bidden Sanders Johnson. That's a lot of names,
it is.
But you know what? It's authority. We're going to show you how you can get a hold. But you can give. Is there an email address we can give for somebody to contact you? Can you give that?
Yes. You can reach my publisher, KP Publishing, at kp-pub.com. And all the information about the book and anything you want to know, hard copy, soft copy, is available on there.
Okay. I hate to break this first half of the show, but I have to. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about wellness, women's empowerment, the community empowerment with some hot yoga.
Hello.
All right. When we come back, I'll see you in 1 minute. I hope you're enjoying this gifted show. God bless you.
Thank you.
Sometimes you just gotta make it happen. Gonna make it happen. Gonna make it happen. Just make it happen. Just make it happen. Just make it happen.
All right, I'm back after holding back all these tears, pushing the tears out of my muscle veins. We just had a very inspiring segment, which leads to, as you noticed, as she was talking about the book through my mother's eyes, she had mentioned something about, I found out more about her. She is a yoga instructor and she's into wellness. And I said, ding, 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 we must be kindred spirits.
Yes.
This is awesome. And then she started talking about hot yoga. She teaches hot yoga. Now, before I have to, I'll lay myself out there. I tried hot yoga my first time. And listen, okay, guys, I'm bearing my soul here. Maybe I have to write a book about that experience. Now, I'm an athlete. I'm a HIIT training. I do burpees, jump squats. And when I warm up, I do dynamic warm-ups. Right? So I get to Bikram yoga. I get to a Bikram yoga class. Everybody's got their shirts off. I'm like, cool, everybody got their shirts off? I'm gonna take off my shirt. So I took off my shirt, and everybody's just sitting still. I'm like, what, are they crazy? They're not warming up for this yoga class? And I'm in this steam house, doing jumping jacks, shaking my muscles and doing push-ups. And my friend that took me out there for the fitness challenge that we developed, she looks at me and goes, Cleon, stop. You're going to kill yourself. Oh, no, I'm just getting loose. We're doing yoga, Cleon. No, I'm just getting, we're doing hot yoga. Let me just do a couple of push-ups. I got 30 minutes in that thing, And man, she was right. I shouldn't have done that
No, you shouldn't.
because I thought I was going to die. Now, I finished the course, the 90-minute segment,
Mhm.
but you almost had to call an RA because all that jumping around and flexing my pecs. I should have done what everybody else was doing, just laying out, chilling, waiting for the instructor.
Mhm.
And everybody was like, they were trying to be nice, but I saw a couple of people in the back laughing at me. Gotcha.
Yeah,
You know, it's like,
yeah,
it got, one guy said, "Hey, well, gotcha, didn't you?" I'm like, I said, like, for about 2 days, I
Yeah.
was hurting.
Yeah.
Tell us about because there are some people that heard about Bikram and hot yoga
Yes.
and yoga period, but they're hesitant. The benefits, what is it, and how we use that to empower our community?
Well, let me first tell you and shout out, today is International Yoga Day.
Okay.
Literally today. When I started yoga, I was 24. And so actually this is 39 years for me. So I'm 64. I don't mind.
Stop. 64.
Yep.
Oh my God. Oh my
I'll
God.
own
Okay.
it.
Just keep talking. Praise be to God.
And when I went to my first yoga class was a date with my ex-husband.
Okay.
And I was not an athlete because I had asthma, kidney problems. I didn't do anything until I got to college. And I started to jog a little bit, but I was not an athlete, even though I don't think you know it, but I was one of the original Rams cheerleaders.
Get out of dude. I got the poet is back here, hip hop legend. I got the original Rams cheerleader. What did God bless me with today? Keep talking, sister. Keep talking.
So, and that was one of those forays where I just went because I had sisters who wanted to go, and they ended up picking me. And I called to say, well, my number such and such. They said, oh yeah, you're the pre-Brownstein girl. You made it. I'm like, huh? And I mean, it was learned right there, then and there. But with yoga, it was a date, and I went. Bikram was my first teacher. Was for many years, 20-something years. The Bikram, yes.
Okay.
The
Nice.
Bikram Chaudhry, yes. Very
Blessed.
dear
So
friend,
blessed.
and his wife and I are very dear friends. And my first class, not a problem, because I wasn't trying to prove anything. But I was only one of 2 blacks in the class. 2 black women.
Pioneer.
Kareem was there, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Ken Norton came. I remember Ken Norton with his muscles came in and he was looking around and said, well, is there an easier class?
He felt how I felt. Mhm.
Yeah, because you can't muscle through yoga. You only can breathe through yoga. And we don't realize in our lives, particularly black folks, we hold our breath waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Explain. I got you, but explain.
We're always on guard.
Yes, we are.
Because and when you come into a room with all these white folks, you know you're not necessarily being judged, but you're being watched. And and one of my lines when I teach yoga is, and I learned it later on in life, stay on your own mat in your own lane.
There you go. Learn that in jiu-jitsu. Yep.
Don't worry about what anybody else is doing around you. And in Bikram yoga, you have the mirror, so you have to see yourself. And so after that first class, Bikram came over to him and said, marry your boss. Came over to my ex-husband, marry your boss. We were married for 23, we married 41 days later. And yoga became my lifestyle.
Amazing. Amazing.
It was just what I did. When I had a tough day or when we were going through stuff or whatever, go to yoga. Come back and we'll talk about it. We'll deal with it.
This gets a little deeper because you said something that really struck me, and I'm trying to find the words to express this. You mentioned that we're always on guard. Mm-hmm. I understand that, because I've been black all my life, and I feel like I've healed from that. I think that's where our kids are lucky, the younger generation. They don't have it as much as we do,
right? And
I guard my kids from that. But you also said something that stay on your own mat, look at yourself in the mirror. Did that kill that feeling? Because I grew up in the 70s. I'm a 70s child. And I also grew up within somewhat of an inferiority complex because of media and white, black, and this, that, and the other. Did that shed, once you saw yourself in the mirror and you were in your lane?
When I learned, and I learned from another lady years ago when I first started teaching. I don't remember her name, but she would come to class and she always looked a little disheveled. And she would come to the front row and she wouldn't look in the mirror. She just would do anything to look in the mirror. So I didn't bother her. After about 2 months, I came up to her and I said, why don't you look in the mirror between your own 2 eyes? And she says, because I've done some mean things, some bad things, and I can't look at myself. I said, well, I'm giving you permission to look at yourself in the eyes. And I said, and every time you stand in that front row, I'm going to remind you. And I reminded her for a couple months. And then she came up to me. I mean, she was sad. And she came up to me. I hadn't seen her in a while. And she came up to me. She says, you don't know what you did for me. I said, yes, I do. I said, I released you. And she said, my whole life has changed because you told me it was okay to look in my own eyes and forgive myself. There's so much healing on the mat when you just stop and breathe.
Whew. You are preaching. You are preaching.
That's all that is. And I don't care if you pass out. I don't care if you need to sit down, take a knee, come back and start again and breathe.
Well, and that's what I want to get into. How, my wellness is, like fitness from a fitness trainer's perspective, but you're in the yoga world.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen how it's worked miracles in people's lives. Tell me about some more of those miracles that you've seen as an instructor.
One of the things, before I go there, I just wanted to tell you in terms of not many Black women, and it's because with the heat, the minimum temperature was 105. Minimum temperature is 105. Mm-hmm. And Black women don't like to get their hair wet. They don't like to swim because they don't want to get their hair wet.
That is true.
And you got to be ready to surrender, to come in to do some yoga and be ready to shed. And when you come and show up, if you come back, you're ready if you're a Black woman. Because you're ready to let the hair and the aesthetics, all that, to get to the core of what's important to you.
I tell my clients who are and don't want to sprinkle sweat, I said, you need to go into the cocoon phase. And that cocoon phase may be braiding your hair for a few months for this 3 months of butt kicking, so you can unleash that butterfly whenever you want. So that's my logic to it. You got to do it for yourself. I remember the movie Chris Rock. Maybe I don't know if it's a good illustration or bad. I'm a man. I don't want a man speak. He made the movie Good Hair.
Yes.
And one of the most, and I always look at things from a wellness perspective. I saw this one lady that was willing to fly out to Atlanta for $3,000 to get her hair done, but she, to me, was like a cheeseburger away from a heart attack. What? But that's a lot of our community members. What do you think about that?
I'm at my end. Come fix me now.
Yes. How do you fix that? I mean, we can't pull everybody, right?
No, you can't.
But what are your tools?
Patience. And when I teach a yoga class, I see you. I look at you. I watch if your shoulders are rounded. What are you hiding? Your heart. So you don't have to feel.
This is deep.
Oh, yeah.
This is deep.
Oh, yeah. And I know because I've been through it all. I had a young man who I absolutely adore, an African-American by the name of Andre Jones. And he had all his dreads. He had no hair here, but all the dreads would always come over his face. And he'd walk in, slew foot, sliding his foot, and just kind of, I'd say, hi, Andre. Hi, Melba. So after a couple months, I said, Andre, you're going to cut those dreads one day. He said, no, I'm not. He says, you see how long my dreads are? I'm not touching my dreads. I said, okay, I'm just telling you. This is like the summer. Christmas time comes around. He walks in with a shaved head. He says, Melba? I said, yes, Andre. He says, see, I cut my dreads, huh? I said, yeah. He says, my sister said I changed since I cut my head. I bring my shoulders back and I look in the mirror and she says, I'm not the same brother and I'm a better brother. I said, listen, I see when you hide and when you're ready to come out, that's on you. I'm going to give it to you, but I'm going to let you decide when it's your turn.
Yes, you give it to them to do.
And I also have to be careful because some people can't receive it. I've had women sitting there crying, and I always tell them as they're crying and going through there, just even about 2 weeks ago, a woman was just crying on her back in Savasana. I went over and rubbed her hand. I said, listen, we don't know the sweat from the tears.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
So let it roll onto your mat, wash it, start again.
I love it. I have a saying, you can't wear old cloaks and do new things, so it's your choice to shed them. Hold that thought. I've got to give my shout outs, and then we're going to continue. You are amazing. Give me just a second. All right. Okay. First of all, shouts out to my 2 graduates, Zaire, that's Zaire Joseph up there, Sol Victorian, gave a great speech. I'm so proud of you. And Cheyenne, my firstborn, that's a little CJ, graduated from Southwest West College and is on her way to her bachelor's and master's. I just want to tell you guys publicly that I love you.
Bravo!
My mother-in-law is standing next to her. I love her. I don't say that enough. My father-in-law, Mr. Khan, I love you. I don't say that enough. We did a good job, and shouts out to my wife, Eva Joseph. Without you, this couldn't have happened because you definitely are the brains. I am the muscle, and that's just how it works. All right. Now, let me get to some of the people that has been holding it down for this show. Yalitas Carter, from Mutual Realty Consultants. You have been an outstanding supporter of this show. I really humbly appreciate all that you've done. And if you have the ad, put it up. But boom, if not, cool. My daughter, business is blowing up. Cal State Dominguez was out there the other day, and people are talking about you. Braids and Things is killing it. You're going to be successful, just like your dad, in whatever you do. Got to give shouts out. This is like a family shout out today because that's what's going on. Oh, there you go. Yulita Carter. She is a 5-star Mutual Realty. Get the 5-star Mutual Realty experience. Unbelievable. Working with her right now for real. She is the absolute truth. Now, look. If you are blessed, I'm not one of these $10,000 preachers. I don't need all that, right? But if you're going to give me all that, right? If you like this show, you can hit me up via Cash App at $CJ Functional. Hey, if a million of you give me $1, hey, all right, the show runs forever, right? That's all I'm asking, right? Or you can Venmo me at CJ Functional. Really, if the show bless you, it's all good. I do this for the community, so if I get nothing, I'm still going to be here 2 weeks from now. I love you guys that much, and I love bringing real people to the show. Oh, yeah, also, don't forget, Sundays, every Sunday, they don't even know I'm still doing this. The Black Health Trust, this is the only place where you can see and ask questions of doctors that look like you. Just look up the Black Health Trust. I don't have it up on the top of my head on Google. They run live every Saturday. I believe it starts at 11. All the health information that you need, you can ask there. They've been on talking about COVID and breaking the myths of COVID, but now they're on to other things like STDs and things of that nature. You need to tune in. These doctors give you the truth from all over the country. And we've had a couple of guests from the Black Health Trust on my show. I've been blessed, and they've blessed us. So that's my shout out. Now, before I forget, let's go back to the book for a second. I want to make sure everybody knows how to get to your book. Now, you gave the email address. You can give that again. But also give the other ways that people can get this book Through My Mother's Eyes, and then we'll continue.
You can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
As well as KP, Kind People, KP,
Okay.
Publishing.com. And it's also known as knowledgeispower.com.
Knowledgeispower.com. Awesome.
And you can also go on my Instagram, Books by Melba Johnson.
Okay. Instagram, Books by Melba Johnson. All right. We got that out there. You're going to shout it out again. So I want to make sure this book is promoted. All right. Now, back to, I want to give out a term for health. When I say the word self-care, what does that mean to you in the umbrella of wellness?
Being comfortable with where you are in this very moment. Okay. Not expecting anything else.
Okay. So I have no expectations, but I'm going into a yoga class and you're my instructor. And I have a fear. Matter of fact, I just have a fear of people. I'm an introvert, but I'm trying it. How would you guide me through that first course?
What I wouldn't do is I wouldn't pay a lot of attention to you because I want you to feel comfortable on your mat.
Speak on it. Yes.
And but I would watch you, and I'd give you at least 1 or 2 times before I'd speak to you after class, because I can read your body. I've done so many different courses and trainings on reading the body and different types of yoga that you walk in and I can just feel your aura. I'm very private and very quiet myself.
Yes.
And that allows me to take things in. So I'm gentle, but I'm known as a tough teacher. Once I get to know you and I realize where your weaknesses is, I'm not going to be light on you. I will push you through because I know it's possible or you're capable. But if not, I don't push you to a point where I know it's not possible. Everybody has a different limit. And sometimes it may not be physical. It may be me just saying, forgive yourself. I did that to one student before last year, and she just broke out in tears. She says, how did you know? I said, because it was all over your body. I said, it wasn't about your yoga. It was you coming in here in a classroom where no one judged you. And you just sweat it, and you couldn't do all the postures. I said, I know your body, so you're going through something. So just forgive yourself and just see what shows up tomorrow. I try my darndest to be not like a mother figure, but compassionate. A lot of people don't have that compassionate gene.
Well, I can tell you a lot of instructors don't. I did go to one I don't want to
lot
say,
of 'em out there.
I went to one hot yoga class where hey, listen, I couldn't touch my toes. And this young lady was upset that I couldn't touch. I just can't. I don't care how hot it is. I can't. Now, eventually I got it, but I know the difference between someone who's empathetic. And had she just left me alone for a couple of days, I might have been curious as to, can she come to me? But it was the other way around. Day 2, she jumped on me. And it was like, I felt isolated. You know, I can tell you don't do that, you know?
No, but I encourage you, and some of my students have done some amazing practices. But I just want you to come where you are today. What do you bring today? If you come with drama, you're not going to be able to stretch. You're not going to be able to focus, and I can see it when you walk through the door. But I'm still going to push you to a point where I know you can. I'm going to bring you back. I'm like, where are you? I had one guy who was just looking all up on the ceiling, and I said, hey, William, where are you? He said, huh? After class, I said, William, what were you thinking about? He says, I was thinking about all these great designs and illustrations. And I didn't know he was an illustrator. Like I said, God shows up when you need him.
Mm-hmm.
He is the illustrator of my children's book, Twins in Paris,
Yeah.
of my identical twin granddaughters and their travels through Paris and all of the monuments. Children hate to go to monuments when they travel, when they're young, between 5 and 8. So when they went, we took pictures, they took pictures, and we turned all the monuments into illustrations of puzzles. So dot to dot, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. If you find me, then you see me.
Right.
And this was because of William. At that moment, I was thinking, who do I get to illustrate my book? And I caught him looking up. And that was my gift for me to ask him.
Oh, you got an awesome spiritual gift. And you found genius in what you might have thought it was hesitancy, but you had the patience to understand there's genius going on in there.
Yes.
Okay. For someone who's trying yoga for the first time, and if you were to explain it to them, now hot yoga too, what are the levels? Because some people like to be prepared when they go in. What is this all about?
There's no preparation.
There's no preparation.
I've been doing the same postures for 39 years. Bikram's postures never change. There are 26 postures, 13 standing up and 13 lying down. I've tried other yogas, and I still do them sometimes. And from the toes to my shoulders, from bunions to meniscus tear. I just had a right hip replacement a year ago.
Wow.
Literally, I was back to yoga in 3 weeks. Left shoulder rotator, appendix removal last year. I mean, I feel like a $6 million woman. I keep going back to my yoga. But what's important is that, like you want to go in and muscle it. You want to show, I can do this. Yoga's all about breath. That is all yoga's about. Being able to breathe, because you cannot breathe and stretch and be strong unless you breathe. The muscles tighten up because you're holding your breath.
Yes.
So the key to yoga is just surrender. You don't have to meditate. And that's when my ex-husband said, hey, we're going to go to yoga. I'm like, oh, I don't meditate. I don't lift up. But it was like, but I can breathe. And that's why it met me where I was on my mat.
I think the most important question I want to ask about yoga, that realm of wellness, what are the overall health benefits? Because people come in with that stress, that cortisol. Mm-hmm. What is the overall benefits of yoga? And I just want to let you tell it. You're the credible expert.
Being able to re-energize, revitalize, and reorganize the body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes, inside out, bones to skin. Mm-hmm. Every time you come, you're releasing toxins from the surface, from inside to the surface level, mm-hmm. releasing. And yoga is physically challenging, mentally challenging, and emotionally challenging. It's a 360. You got to show up. You can't just run. Oh, I ran 3 miles. I'm good to go.
Right.
Okay. Yoga, everything, I mean, just the sweat, the releasing, the surrender, the breath, being in a room with like-minded individuals who are trying also to find that peace of mind. And yoga is not for everybody.
I understand.
And, I can't do the splits. I can touch my forehead to the toes. It took a while. But it's not about that. But it is. My doctors are like, I can't believe how healthy you are. I mean, I have my issues. I'm human.
Right.
But the way I recover, the healing of yoga, when you get an injury or something, the healing is so quick, it just blows the doctor's minds.
Yeah. So there's also a weight loss component to yoga.
Oh, yes. When you sweat, yes.
Yes.
And you have to learn how to drink water, which we don't do. We want to do everything else but drink water. You have to learn to drink water. Oh
my God. Hot yoga will force, if you're not a water drinker, and I know some of you guys out there, you take hot yoga, you will be a water drinker.
Yeah, you have
sure.
to. You have to.
Wow. Tell me about clearly, energy, everything about you is clean. A lot of people I want to try yoga, but I went to this place and it was nasty. Tell me about your place, where you train, the environment.
It's very clean. When I started Bikram Yoga, they didn't have mats. They didn't have all the paraphernalia that you bring, the blocks and everything. It was just like a carpeted room and go for it. Now, particularly since COVID, the rooms have to be sprayed and
that's what I'm getting
cleaned
at. Yeah.
and showers have to be cleaned, and there's only a certain amount of people now that they let in classes instead of filling everybody to the brims and your mats right next to each other. You've got at least 6 to 3 feet between each. You've got to follow the protocol, but that's the one thing about the heat. It releases all those germs and those toxins. You can sometimes smell the toxins coming out of your body
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're doing yoga.
Yep.
Literally.
Yep.
So, but don't come in after a night drinking.
Right, don't do
I
that.
had a student who did.
Did you have to tell him that?
I didn't have to tell him. After he picked himself up,
He was like,
after
"Oh,
about
God."
20 minutes after class, he said, what's happened? I said, well, you've kind of slept a while. You're all right.
You know, I want you to tell everybody where you teach and how they can get a hold of you there. And then we're going to promote that book one more time, and then
Yes.
we will close the show out.
Yes.
How do we find you, Melba?
You find
How
me.
does CJ find you? 'Cause I wanna come try
Instagram,
you
you'd
out.
find me on It's a Wrap by Melba.
It's a Wrap by Melba.
And it has at least 100 daily morning meditations on the mat that I discuss life in yoga and life in outside of the room and how they really work together.
Okay.
As well as the Hot Room in Long Beach
Mhm.
on Bellflower and Carson Street at the Hot Room.
Is that under the umbrella of Bikram or is it something?
No,
But it's still a
Bikram,
hot-
yes, that all is no longer, they don't do the Bikram studios anymore. There are Bikram studios, I take that back.
Okay.
But there are some who have gone off on their own and not only teach the Bikram series and the 26 and 2s or the Hot 8 or what have you, but they teach other types of yoga as well.
Do you know that? Can you give the address of the hot room? Because I think I want to come try it out.
4101 Bellflower Boulevard
All right, guys. 4101 Bellflower Boulevard.
in Long Beach.
Okay, you have my word. CJ on his next few days off is going to
Alright.
try a class, and I will tell the world about it. I'm already going to tell him about the book. This is amazing. We're going to go on a quick commercial break, and then we're going to close out the show, Melba. I want to thank you so much for being on the show, but
you.
you got to leave. You can't leave without giving us some positive affirmation. So we'll be back on this commercial break. Mentorship moments. This is great.
I tried to be secular about this book, but I can't. Something's working within me.
EJ was already an incredible person, and then he wrote a book.
I turned to God as a person that stopped believing. So you will meet me there. And if not, you will see the works that help me get there.
If you want to know how to change and learn how to change from the inside out, you read this book.
Money is a real thing. It's a part of it. But what I show in the book, and I'm telling my young people out there, I'm walking you through business. This is a real business lecture 101. It's not the green that's going to keep you sustained. It's your influence. It's your how well do you impart influence and love in people? How do I make you rich by a conversation we've had?
It's going to help you no matter what situation, no matter what trials or tribulations you're going through. It's going to give you that ammo that you need.
Watch God grow inside of me. Watch him show me why this went wrong to get to right. To him to say, you know what, God? I needed the tragedy too. I needed to feel loss. I needed to feel grief. I needed to feel let down. And thank God you've got me where I'm at in my marriage, with my kids, with my family, so I can see the blessings and I can tell somebody else how all those things I went through in the past got me where I'm in today.
You can get through anything if you just keep the faith and walk through that valley and don't give up. Don't turn back, don't look back, just keep looking forward, and the goal is right there. You just have to keep pushing forward.
Keep your brains in your head, keep your heart in your chest, and keep your pee-pee in your pants. And that's it.
That's great advice.
This will stay in your hearts for the rest of your life, and it will conquer the demons that lie in your mind.
Ashton, sorry, poetess. I chimed in late. But that's the fun thing about live. Listen, through my mother's eyes, Melba T. Binion Sanders Johnson. This is an amazing read. Please, I know Mothers and Fathers Day just passed, but it doesn't matter. You have mothers and fathers throughout eternity, you know, through when they're living and when they're gone. And it's the messages that they present that we forget. And it's not so much when the mouth is moving. It's when the silence goes and their eyes speak. That's what got, I was trying to remember what exactly got the tears rolling at the Women's Forum. It was that when the mouth stopped speaking and the eyes started, I just lost it because there was a time, I'll tell you, where my mom, she lost her voice, and that was one of the things that was killing her. She was cleaning, and too much toxin got in her throat, and it started shutting down. It was rapid. She couldn't speak anymore. I would go to the hospital when I would see her, and I would do nothing. I didn't know what to do, so I would just read the Bible, to her, and then she would just nod, but I can hear through the nodding that that's right, CJ.
Yes, baby.
Yes,
Yeah.
baby. Yeah, yes, but yeah. You keep reading. You need this, baby.
Yeah,
You could see it, and I lost it. And getting something like this is a spiritual gift. Okay. Yes, it's got something from everybody. It's got words, but it's got great photos. Your photo illustrator is amazing.
Moses Mitchell.
Moses Mitchell. Listen, shouts out to Moses Mitchell. I got to get with you, my man, on my next one. But it's just spiritual all the way through our mother's eyes. Tell us how we can get that book one more time, and then I'm going to let you close out.
kp-pub.com, or you can get it on Amazon or Books by Melba Johnson. And one of the great things about the last page is at the very top it says, it gives you a place, if you gave it as a gift or for yourself, if you were looking into your mother's eyes, what would they say? And it gives you a whole 2 pages to write what you would want to see to tell your mother.
I'm opening up the page. It's blank
As
for you to write.
If you were looking into her eyes, or if you wanted to give it as a gift to someone else, because that's almost like it's a beautiful coffee top table book, but to have that with someone who has signed it and written what they see in your eyes, or
it's just beautiful. This is just
Thank
beautiful.
you.
This has been, you have blessed me, and you have blessed others in this show. And there's also a hard copy too, guys. And she just gave me the hard copy, so I have to bless someone. I have to bless somebody with this gift. So the blessings are coming, right?
Always.
Okay, cannot let you out here, Melba, without you giving some positive affirmations before we go. We'll let you close out the show.
Well, I just wanted to remind everybody about authenticity. Being authentic wherever you are and whoever you're with. And within that authenticity, you forgive others for their inability to be authentic, because you always want to show up just as you are, on your mat, when you're home, when you're present with beautiful people like CJ.
Oh,
Just, if we were all authentic, and that's what breathing allows you to do. You don't hold on to anything, you let it go, and you just show up, and you become fearless. Namaste.
namaste. That's amazing. Guys, in 2 weeks, we're back to mental health. We have Dr. Natasha Nelson. She has a seminar that everybody will be she will be having at my studio, and it talks about mental wellness. You guys have to meet.
Yes.
That's coming July 9th. She will be here in the studio July 3rd to talk about it. She's been on the show. She's a regular. She even co-hosted with me. She turns it out every time. Again, this show is about healing. This is Mentorship Moments. Each one teach one. I'm your host. I have missed you guys, but I came back with blessings. God bless you. I will catch you all in 2.
It happened.